damaged.
So the 2 Rohands we ordered, they arrived damaged. We had to note each part that needed to be replaced or painted. Called up Tilmore. They were more than helpful, and they sent parts that needed to be replaced, spray cans to paint everything that needed to be repaired, and they also gave us a $500 refund for the superficial damage. The Rohand has lots of pros and cons. As you can kind of see in this video, it takes a lot of space to turn it all the way around, and you really got to be able to line it up with your row, or else you're going to run over a good chunk of planted bed. If you have the space, it's amazing. A lifesaver, I would say. It takes the stress off your back, off your hips, off your ankles, and for me, off of my feet. I was having such a hard time. Our aisleways are always very chunky until we started using the tractor, but even with the tractor it still gets kind of chunky, and there's lots of hills and valleys, and my feet were taking a hit. I got plantar fasciitis about 3 years ago, and it wasn't until I really started using the Rohand on the regular basis that it finally started to heal. And I tell you what, it was excruciating. There were nights where I would come off the field, sit down to rest for an hour or so, and I had to crawl to bed. I'm so glad that that is behind me. So that being said, there's other muscles that this uses. Your neck definitely gets sore, your shoulders. All in all, I could go hours using the Rohand. In fact, I think my longest stint in one go without getting off was 7 hours, and that was weeding really low to the ground. I would not have been able to do that without the Rohand. I think the longest I can go doing anything low to the ground is probably 3 hours. So this is fantastic to prolong harvest, planting, weeding. I think this garlic took me about 9 hours total. I did it in 3-hour chunks. It's great for older folks, folks with injuries, to help you prolong your harvest, your planting, your weeding. Things that it's not great for, younger folks tend to not appreciate it as much. They kind of just feel like they're faster on their feet. They don't have the soreness and the aching that us older folks do. But even the younger folks, I would say it would probably speed up their productivity for longevity. But if you only have, like, you know, a 150-foot row to plant or harvest or weed, taking it out, getting it set up, getting it straightened on their row, it would probably end up costing more time for a smaller run than it's worth. Though we did have one of our workers had some belly issues, and laying on his belly did not. He could do it, but not for real long periods of time. So this is really great for planting like seed potatoes, large seeds like winter squash or corn, garlic, onion plants or starts. It's great for harvesting anything low to the ground. Strawberries, bush beans, shelling peas, and spinach are all things that I've harvested with this. It runs on solar, so you don't have to worry about it losing charge because it continues to charge as you go along. And I was surprised at how it goes over kind of rough ground. Pretty resilient. Some of the cons on my cons list I've got, it does have some storage needs, at least for winter. The tarp over can get a little roughed up with the weather. The wind was not an issue. We had it outside all summer long in 30-mile-an-hour winds. Not a problem at all. It does collect rain on top. They could have maybe designed it a little bit more to shed water. So far, so good. 2 summers outside, and there's no holes yet. I'm not getting rained on, that's for sure. The only other thing I can really think of as far as a con is the noise of the turning when the wheels turn. It makes kind of an annoying sound. As long as I'm just turning around to straighten back out, it's not so bad. If I had to listen to that all day though, I would definitely use earplugs. Keeping the wheels straight it's not the worst thing. Not as easy as a vehicle, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. There's kind of a delay in the steering, so you kind of have to stop, turn the wheels, and then continue on. And keeping them straight in your row can be a little challenging. All in all, not so bad. The narrow tires in the back kind of get stuck in the mud if it's really wet, but other than that, it goes over the ground pretty easily. I was surprised. So this is a price point of $6,200. It's sold by Tillmore. It's great if you're going to utilize it for many crops and many jobs. It could definitely help a farm expand. That's what we're using it for, expanding without killing our bodies. But if you're just thinking you need some help with one particular crop, I don't know if it's really worth it. I would say if you can use it for many jobs around the farm, it will definitely pay for itself in the end. I really do. I can't recommend it enough. So on a typical market farm, our rows are really tight, everything's real close together. We're trying to utilize as much space as possible for growing. Unfortunately, this is going to be a little too tight for the row hand. Ideally, if you can start out knowing that you need to have 15 feet on either side of your beds for turn radius, that would be the ideal situation for investing in this piece of equipment, I think.
Several layout considerations for your farm if you're going to be considering mechanizing. All of your machinery that you're mechanizing with, you're going to want to have the same tire width so that the tractor makes the row and the rest of the machinery that you're pulling behind the tractor or you're using on those rows goes in those rows. It worked out pretty well for us. Our primary tractor makes a 48-inch on center row, and the row hand fits nicely down that 48-inch on center. After you consider what the tires take out, we end up with about a 32-inch bed, which works really well for most of the tools that are made for market farms that run on a 30-inch bed. One of the other farms runs 24-inch beds because they have a subcompact tractor and their tractor makes narrower beds. And on the row hand, you can move those front tires to the inside. With that narrow tire in the back, you don't have to mess with it. That allows you to use the row hand on narrower beds. Row hand will go wider. You can look on their website for that. From a market farm standpoint, I don't think we're going to be worrying about trying to fit it down really wide beds. It's will our beds be wide enough for the narrowest the machine goes. For transporting the row hands, we use a 12-foot long by 6-foot wide by 6-foot tall box trailer with a loading ramp. We find this works rather well for moving the row hands between farms.